This is a 1930s or 40s German razor. It's marked Made in Germany for Will and Fink, San Francisco, which was a blacksmith that started in the Gold Rush era, and I think continued into the maybe 1950s. And I'm building a scratch pattern on this 1000 grit king. I keep my king soaked in water all the time. These are one directional strokes. I'm raising the razor on the return stroke. And I'm lucky enough to have a microscope that will magnify to 300 power when viewed through my computer. The digital camera that I have on my microscope up here adds another 10 power, so I'm looking at 300 power on my computer screen here. So this is what the scratch pattern looks like from a 1000 grit king. It's pretty aggressive, and you notice I did diagonal strokes on the hone, on the stone, so the scratch pattern, there's the face of the razor, this is the beginning of the bevel, there's the transition right there, and if you follow these scratches they go all the way up to the actual edge. They're continuous, long, aggressive scratches from the 1000 grit king. And right adjacent to the area that we're looking at is a deep nick in the razor where it bumped into something. I'm sort of restoring this razor a little bit. But you can see the scratch pattern at the edge. It leaves the edge pretty rough. It's not a straight, this you could never shave with this razor. I mean, it is just off of 1000 grit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this razor and I'm going to joint the edge of it on this Japanese Ozaki, which is a joining stroke. It's just a few millimeters back and forth. And what that does is it wears flat the feather edge that was on that razor. At this stage, the razor is not sharp enough to cut my thumb, and it won't shave any hair at all. It's just like using a glass jar to dull the edge, to flatten the edge. But now I have essentially a razor that has all fresh steel right at the edge, and I'm going to take advantage of that. I have a folded edge now. Maybe I'll go back to the microscope and show you what that dulled edge looks like now. And you'll be able to see the folded steel. Okay, remember how rough the edge looked? And now we have an edge that looks straighter, but you can see the folded steel portion up there. It's that unusual looking detail there. Here again, this is right at the edge of this big deep nick, and as you can see there's a folded portion of steel that runs right along the edge here, and that is that feather edge that we folded down, and that's why the razor is not sharp any longer. But remember, the diagonal lines are going from 2 o'clock down to 7 o'clock, or 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Now I'm going to go back to this Ozaki, and I'm going to raise a slurry using a worn out Atma diamond plate. This is a level 5 or level 5 plus stone. It's not very hard. Okay, remember we have a dull razor here now. There's no edge on this razor at all, but there is fresh steel. Okay, so we're just going to do a minimum number of passes on this stone. So there's 10. Except to retrieve the slurry, these are all again just one directional strokes. I'm lifting the razor on the return stroke. So I'm going to save that slurry. Rinse it off with a little bit of clear water. And I'm looking for that nick again. Try to find that port. There we are. Okay. So here's where that nick was. Is a deep gouge. It wasn't rust, it was more like the razor got bumped by on another hard piece of steel or something. Okay, here's how our edges progress. Remember, just a moment ago, 21 strokes ago, the edge was composed of diagonal scratches. And you can see the remnants, maybe, of a very faint diagonal scratch. If I scroll down on the face of the bevel a little bit, they get a little bit darker. But those are just shadows, and you can see that kasumi finish, Japanese kasumi finish all along here, hazy finish. And then when you get right up at the very edge, where the razor does all the cutting, there's only straight-on scratches now. All the diagonal scratches are gone. Okay, so that's with 21 strokes. This is a very fast-cutting stone. Now I have a new technique here that I'm going to be using. And everyone knows about taping the spine with black electrical tape. Well, I found that Scotch tape is about 1/4 of the thickness. I haven't actually measured it, but it's similar to 1/4 of the thickness. And I'm going to tape the spine of this razor. So I have 21 strokes on that stone with this razor. And I'm going to dilute the slurry here a little bit with water. And I'm just going to put, let's say, 5 strokes on the edge here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 on each side. 1, 2. Oh, that makes 5 right there. So 6 strokes per side. We're going to rinse off the razor. And go up the microscope. I'm going to take that tape off. The Scotch tape thins out in just a couple, 3 or 4 or 5 strokes. So when you take it off the razor now, it comes off in 2 sides. It doesn't just peel off like with electrical tape in one long piece. Okay, back in the microscope. I'll locate that deep nick. Here it is. And here we are back. There's the edge of that nick there. and we have a nice orderly edge on the razor that's brightened quite a bit from when we first came off the Ozaki. This razor at this stage would be nearly passing an HHT, and you could shave with this, but it wouldn't be totally fine. So like 99 or 100% of everybody else who shaves with a straight razor, I'm going to go to the strop and I'm going to use a minimum number of strokes on the strop. First I have a cotton based fire hose type element. And then I have old horsehide shell strop from the 1930s or 40s. This says at the top here, shell horsehide price, $3.50. You tell me when that was new. I'm not quite sure, but it seems like it could be from the 30s or 40s. Okay, so that's about 20 strokes. Rinse off the blade. And some people do, some people don't, use a hanging hair test to tell them a little something about their razor and how sharp it might be. I do. And after 26 strokes on that one stone after bevel setting, that was a HHT 5. That was a 5. The hair is just laying down on the other side of the razor. I'm holding about a 1/4 inch or a little bit more away from the razor. This, by my past experiences, will give a barber close shave, and because it's done on a Japanese natural stone, the shave is more likely than not to be very comfortable. And I'm going to go in and test shave this razor now. But that was 26 strokes per side after bevel setting on a King 1000. This system that I've just developed, I'm naming it the TheAx2Method. My axe method, the axe method, I've been using for a couple of years, maybe 3 years. Now I'm creating the TheAx2Method, which incorporates that one piece of tape, a slurry on the natural stone, and diminishing stroke count to the razor honing session. So that all took 13 minutes, and I'm pretty much done. I'll go shave with that razor.